All right, guys, back here on Southeastern 16 SEC basketball reaction with Max Barr. No
Oh
Chris
yeah.
Lee today, Max. Don't worry, it's not because of the internet. Everyone was asking questions about whether Chris's internet was going to work, and ironically enough, mine has not been working well this morning. So we'll see how this goes, Max. But guess what? The internet needs to work because we got so many big games to talk
There's
about
so
here.
much.
The Maui Invitational going deep into the morning. Alabama gets a big win over Houston and Las Vegas. Kentucky, another victory. And then, Max, there's something else we need to talk about that we'll need to address with the SEC. So another
No
team did
clue.
not get a victory yesterday. You don't remember?
No
Okay.
clue what you're talking. No.
No idea, huh? All right. Well, let's start in Maui because, I mean,
Yes.
most people love to start their day in Maui, I think. So we're going to do that. Auburn is on their way to the Maui Invitational Championship, Max, the new number one team in KenPom, which tells me all I need to know. The Auburn
Yep.
Tigers, who get the 85-72 victory over North Carolina. Look, I mean, this was a game that Auburn pretty much controlled, and North Carolina never led in this game, Max. Auburn led by as many as 19 in the second half. I mean, this was the exact kind of performance you wanted to see for a team coming off of a thrilling win against Iowa State. And here they go. 23 points from Janiyah Broome, 19 rebounds, 5 assists, 3 blocks. My goodness. Do you want me to just give you Bruce Pearl's comments on Janiyah Broome? Let me go ahead and give
What
you
does he
those
got?
now.
What
Here's
does
what
he
he had
got?
to say. And while, let me see, I'm going to pull this up here. And we'll get to your chats, of course, as always, guys.
Oh, they're
shortly.
here. They're here.
Yeah. I'll let Max tag those as I'm going through and getting this set up. So here we go. We're going to hear from
Not
Bruce
an
Pearl.
NBA player, because I think you got to remember where Janiyah Broome came from, and that just doesn't get talked enough about. He's a 3-star out of Tampa Catholic. He's not fast enough. He's not quick enough. He's not good enough. He doesn't make the top AAU teams in Florida. He's a low major, mid-major kid. And all he's ever done his entire career is prove people wrong.
Oh,
Not an NBA player because he's not an NBA athlete. All he does is score, and all he does is defend, and all he does is win. He's an old school player that has developed always an inside game, and he's developed a perimeter game. He's an outstanding passer. He's an outstanding ball handler.
Yep.
He can put the ball down the floor to make plays. I trust him with the ball in his hands in the post, and obviously just a dominant rebounder. And as far as just play calling for him, we got a guy we can throw the ball to, and he can score down there, forces double teams and things like that. It's like having a guy like R.J. Davis who can just go get a bucket whenever he wants to off the perimeter.
Well, there you have it, Max. I mean, well said, right? What else can you say about Janiyah Broome right now? So,
find me a brick wall, and I will run right through it. What a little speech there by Bruce, giving Janiyah's props. That's exactly where I was gonna go, Blake. If you watch the first, 5 seconds of this game, it was evident Janiyah Broome was going to eat early. He had, 18, 19 at half? I might be a point off there, but he was just getting whatever he wanted. And, I mean, you see with UConn this year, with no Klingon, just how important that piece is for a team. You're seeing Broome playing the best basketball he's played of his career, which is saying something because last year it was really good. But just having that defensive just anchor that you're not getting a single shot easy when I'm on the floor. It's just we haven't even mentioned a single other player. Like we haven't mentioned another name other than Janiyah Broome, and we're almost 5 minutes into this reaction. That just goes to show how good this guy's playing. Currently, the number 1 rated player in the nation. So.
I was going to say, like, we had the debate over SEC Player of the Year going into the season. I mean, you're talking National Player of the Year at this point. So, yeah, I mean, that's how good he's been. And like we said, I mean, we knew he was going to be the person that gets all the attention, but yet the other team knows that like that's their focus, and he's still doing these things, and he's still dominating games the way that he has. But then it's like you mentioned, we've only talked about him, but you look up, and Auburn's got 5 other guys in double figures in this game. Miles Kelly goes for 15. Baker Mazzara goes for 14. Chaney Johnson, who, by the way, Max, we talk about Chaney Johnson. Our guy Matthew, what's Chaney Johnson got to do to get on the thumbnail here at Southeastern 16?
I'll tell you what. You got to get Google to start having the large image because it's too blurry. I've tried. I need a large image.
We tried. But I mean, yeah, Chaney Johnson goes for 11 in this game. Pettiford goes for 10. And I think we just keep bringing up the depth of Auburn. like it's even, you have that many guys in double figures in this game. And again, Broom's going to get all the attention. But I mean, they can beat you in so many different ways. And we just kind of saw that here again against the North Carolina team that, did have to rally and make the comeback against Dayton. But we talked about the guard play. That was going to be the biggest focus. And, what do you know? You look up and Auburn's able to find a way to just completely, like we said, take control from the tip and not really let go of a game like this. So
I will say, I think North Carolina's down a little bit. I don't think they're. I think they are down a little bit. But who cares? You're coming off of like a not a miracle comeback, but I mean a massive comeback. And then to come back and just dominate, you don't even. Blake and I were texting before because we got to plan out live stream times and stuff, and I was like, I really hope we get an Auburn 20-point lead at half because I do not want to stay up till 2 a.m. And I mean, they just dominated. North Carolina made it close at times, and then it's just the waves. It just would never stop. There was no drought. There was no scoring drought. It doesn't stop. It's consistent over the whole game. Big game against Memphis, though, tonight. I mean, we're talking these guys up like they're world beaters, but Penny Hardaway's squad has got some guards that are not afraid of anybody. I'll tell you that much right now, Blake.
Yep, we will talk about that game here at the end. We will preview tonight's games, and we'll talk about Auburn and Memphis a little bit more there if we want to. Before we do that, Bruce Pearl, Max, was talking about how Johni Broome has become a perimeter threat, and, I think when you think about things like that, you're thinking about what would happen if Johni Broome, had a player prop, let's say at 0.5 3-pointers made. Would you bet the over or would you bet the under on that, Max? I'm curious.
I wonder where you're going with this, Blake.
We'll see if anyone in the comments can catch on where we're going with this. Because if you want to, let's say, make the bet on whether he's going to make a 3 or not make a 3, because remember, all he needs 1 to cash. I'm guessing that our friends at BetOnline have something for you there. Because they are the world's most trusted betting platform, as you know, and your number one source for online betting. From the earliest odds to in-game live betting, BetOnline provides you with all the action, ability to watch the games as they happen. The largest selection of odds, so again, I'm sure Johni Broome, plenty of odds there. Maybe some National Player of the Year odds coming in at some point soon. Auburn National Championship odds, if you want to get those. Maybe Alabama fans want to get in on their odds because they probably went up a little bit after the win over Houston. Kentucky fans getting in on the Mark Pope National Championship odds in year 1. Oh, yeah. They got it all. Football, NBA, college basketball, NHL, UFC, MMA. All you got to do is head to BetOnline today. Get on the action. America's most trusted site for online wagering. BetOnline. The game starts here. All right, what else you want to add on Auburn, Max? Anything in particular from this game, or should we continue on?
Let's continue on. We'll probably circle back with the amount of Auburn comments that we've got going.
Actually, you know what? I'm going to flip this a little bit. Initial thoughts on the Memphis matchup. Like we kind of combined this together yesterday, and let's go ahead and do that now because we are kind of on Auburn here a little bit. But Memphis. It's funny, isn't it? Because think about the conversation we were having earlier this month whenever Missouri lost that game to Memphis, right? And people are just like, oh my goodness, what a terrible loss for Missouri. And I kept saying, I'm like, guys, I don't think Memphis is bad. I don't think they're a bad team. Now, did I think they would be sitting here in the Maui Invitational Championship having beaten the teams they've beaten? No, I did not think they would be in this spot. But here they are, right? I mean, they get that overtime win against UConn. They come back with a really, good performance against Michigan State, and now they're here with a matchup against Auburn. And I think that's what's interesting about Memphis when you look at what they've done to this point, right? I mean, even beating a team like San Francisco, who I think is another very good team. The body of work that Memphis has put together has been really impressive. And so I think this is going to definitely be one when you look at the way, especially, that they are shooting the ball right now and just offensively, their ability to do basically, again, what they're kind of doing, especially we saw that in the UConn game, that they'll present some challenges to even an elite defensive team like Auburn, I would think.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I think Auburn offensively should have a pretty smooth ride. I think they should be able to get what they want. Memphis hasn't been the best at defending the perimeter yet. But it's going to be a test for Auburn's guards defensively. This is where a guy like Denver Jones needs to have a big game defensively and show why he's a leader on this team in the backcourt. It's going to be a game where you're going to need the length of Chad Baker-Mazara, maybe disrupt a guy like Tyrese Hunter, who is absolutely on fire. He's 12 of 20 in the last 2 games from 3. I mean, you can expect a little regression from that, but also, I mean, the guy's on fire. We're going to have to pay a little attention to him. So I think mainly what I'm looking for in this game is how do these Auburn guards defensively take away these Memphis guys, because they're playing with confidence, and that's a scary thing. When you're going into a game with nothing to lose here. Memphis has got nothing to lose, so got to take care of the defense.
I mean, I think the size advantage for Auburn is definitely something, when we look at a game like this, I think that will stand out potentially. And, I mean, what else? I mean, it's a Broome game, right? Like, you could see Broome having another big game here, even knowing
every game.
Kind of what – I mean, that's the thing. Is like you could say that for every single game. But I do think the size will be interesting. Again, the physicality that Auburn plays with. But like you said, I mean, Hunter – what should we say, Max? Kobe Bryant-esque, perhaps. Recent performances from him. So, I think this should be, again, a game that Auburn should win. But, man, you look at a team like this Memphis team and the confidence that they have built, and it is wild to look at where Memphis is at right now, knowing that just a couple months before the season, we're talking about, the assistant coaching swaps and, wondering what's going to happen with the program. Like, man, everything has sort of fell apart. No, again, they got the comeback win against Missouri to start the season, got some other good, solid wins. San Francisco, as I mentioned, get the win over the defending back-to-back national champion UConn, go beat a team like Michigan State. I mean, they're as confident as ever. You think Auburn's confident. Memphis pretty confident, too, coming into this thing, and a lot of experience on that roster, too. That's what we talked about. Obviously you have some new pieces and such, but these are older guys. But I do think, Auburn's defense, to me, is going to be the story here, potentially just as it has been, in the last little bit. And I do think, like you said, Auburn's got a chance offensively to kind of do what they want. It's just, can they get what they want? That's really the question. So,
Blake, before we move on from Auburn, we have a super chat earlier from Matthew. The Auburn Fighting Tigers. We got to remember to do Fighting Tigers in our power rankings. Johni Broome, Player of the Year. I don't think it matters anymore whether you specify if that is national or SEC, which is pretty cool to say. So thank you, Matthew. Appreciate it. And
yes,
Broome is going to have a matchup against big old Dane Danger, which I think he should have a nice athleticism advantage over, if you want to call it that. A little speed advantage. Danger's a little bit bigger.
Tell you who has an advantage over some other people as well, and that is Zachary Meeks, who's become a member of the Just Means More tier here at Southeastern 16. You can also, folks out there, join the It Just Means More tier, $3.99 a month. You can join, and it is basically just a support tier for us. It's, hey, you like what we do, you support us with $3.99 a month. Max, you can't even get a medium fry anymore, I think, for $3.99 these days. So come on. You're basically, we are as good as a medium order of French fries. I think that's accurate. That's all you got to pay us to do that. So that allows us to do more live streams for you guys. We appreciate you, Zachary, joining. We appreciate all the super chats as well. Keep them coming here because we are far from done. And just as a note, Sam Smith checking in late here. No, Chris Lee has not been arrested. People may be saying that on the streets, according to Sam, but no, he is currently handling other business at the moment. So, and we did already do the ad read. Sam, I apologize for you missing that. But Well, Max, because basketball in the state of Alabama has become such a phenomenon, it's really interesting to me that we now transition from Auburn going to the Maui Invitational Championship after a dominant performance against North Carolina to Alabama, getting a huge win over Houston to give Auburn and Alabama the double over the Cougars this season to this point. And so Alabama, a huge win as now we sit here and as we said, I mean, this was what we expected from Alabama, right? Coming into the season, we knew they were going to get all of these different opportunities. And these were the kind of ones that we knew that, all right, if they play up to what we think they can be, they have the potential, as we said, to be the best team, not just in the SEC, but in the country. And it's when you see games like this, you're like, yep, they've got it. Like they still have it, right? It hasn't all come in terms of, Youngblood's not there yet. Still some things they got to work through. But when we saw it against Illinois, playing as well as they did coming off that loss at Purdue, they find a way to win this game. I know people are making a lot about I couldn't watch anything without talking about the lack of foul calls and, the way the game was officiated down the stretch and those kind of things. But Alabama won 85-80 in overtime. That's what I know. LJ Cryer, of course, tremendous for Houston. But we said it, Max. If there was one thing we could guarantee going into this game, Mark Sears was not going to go scoreless again.
Yep.
And he didn't. 24 points here for Mark Sears, 4 of 8 from 3, 12 of 14 from the free throw line, plays 41 minutes in this game. Grant Nelson played 40. Once again, another tremendous non-conference win for the SEC and another really good non-conference win for the Alabama Crimson Tide.
Sign me up, Blake. Sign me up for all the Mo Diabate there is to offer. This guy's playing basketball. We're watching that game. I love this guy. I love him. He fits right into the mold of the bully ball brand of basketball, and he represented it in prime time on the national stage last night. Gotta love yourself some Mo Diabate. 16 rebounds. I will say, though, JoJo Tugler, if we do have some Houston fans in here, JoJo Tugler is an absolute monster. That might be the best defender I've seen this year. Monster. The game was choppy. It was annoying to watch. 41 free throw attempts for Alabama, 33 free throw attempts for Houston. It was tough.
It's an SEC game.
What do you want those refs to do, honestly? They probably could have called more. They probably could have. It was a rugby match. And, hey, the game is what the game was. It was physical, and it was Alabama who found a way to get to the free throw line. Mark Sears, some people call him a foul merchant. I think he's got a low center of gravity and insane balance and can drive through anyone. And he gets to the line 14 times, does what he needs to do to get some points up. Jaren Stevenson, still in the shooter slump. At this point, he's doing everything else. He's getting some rebounds. He's making some good plays. He's hustling. Just maybe put the shooting. Think about it this way. He shot 31% last year, nothing this year, so he's 27%. I don't know if doing anything that you only succeed 27% of the time is really efficient here. But I do like his other stuff. Darian Reed came in, a few big shots. Aiden Holloway had probably his best game as a Alabama. And Phylon, nothing from Phylon. You didn't get one three from Phylon. We were saying not yesterday, but last time Alabama played, we were like, well, you don't really need Sears when Phylon's playing like this. And then right back, business as usual.
That's kind of a luxury, isn't it? That one of your guys can, your National Player of the Year candidate cannot score, and you still get a big win. And then your stud freshman, who has just been incredible,
flip-flops,
doesn't score or scores a point, and you still get another big win. And again, that's one of the best wins of the season for any team in the SEC. Houston, I know, they're 3-2, right? Look at the record, but they've lost to Alabama and Auburn by 5 points. So if we play the comparison game, Max, it's a pick'em between the Tide and the Tigers right now. based on the 5-point victories. But yeah, I mean, I think, look, this was one where, like you said, you can talk about the foul numbers and those kind of things, but I mean, these were the opportunities Alabama was going to get. And I mean, too, and Nate Oates talked about it after. I was trying to find the exact quote. We were going to pull some audio with Nate Oates, but I can't actually find any at the moment. But something about sort of the toughness that Alabama played with, right? Because that's what everybody talks about with Houston, is just the toughest. Here it is from Charlie Potter. I'm going to pull it here. Quote, "That's the toughest, hardest playing team in America. To out-rebound a team like that by 9, we've got to have some tough guys on our team too," end quote. So he's right. Like, again, when you play Houston, it's all about toughness. You know how they're going to play, and I think that was the biggest thing that stood out here too, because, you know, and it's, I think you just keep looking at Alabama, and you just see all the pieces that are there. And like you said, the Mo Diabate game, like there's going to be a Grant Nelson game, a Mark Sears game, a LeBaron Philon game. Like, we're going to be like, you know, we're going to be using those phrases how many times this year for different guys. And that's what we mentioned, the depth for Alabama. It's something. So,
and I mean, when you look at the foul trouble for Houston, definitely played a part, because you didn't have Milos Uzan, who still really hasn't been able to, you know, get going trying to fill in for the impossible task of filling in for Shed. So some foul trouble was hampering the Cougars. But also, we got a comment. He'll want $1 million. Latrell Wrightsall. Did you hear that little sound bite?
I did see that. That was great.
That was great.
Should have pulled that one.
I know. How about that one sequence I texted you right after it happened? I was like, that was just perfect. It was Mo Diabate, insane block, right into a Latrell Wrightsall, just net ripper of a 3. Just a beautiful sequence. There was a few of those in the game.
There was quite a few of those. You're going to see that a lot this year with Alabama. You're going to see some beautiful sequences, I think, based on how they play. And of course, up next for Alabama, they're going to get Rutgers today, and Rutgers comes off of an overtime win. So it was quite an evening in Las Vegas, I would say. So you had back-to-back overtime games for those two. So Rutgers and Notre Dame went to overtime. Rutgers won that one. So Alabama and Rutgers will tip today. Max, I think actually that's the night game. They play at 10 Eastern tonight. So Max just loves the way these things set up during feast week, don't you? So I mean, look, Alabama's. Do we have the line on that, Max? I'm sure we do already, right?
Yeah.
I'm going to assume
I
Alabama's
was just looking at it.
A sizable
Alabama, I
favorite.
think it's a 10-point favorite, I believe. Yeah. I might be wrong on that, but I believe it was 10.
Yeah. But Max, it may be 10 points, but we know that this is the what game?
Is this what you call a trap game?
This is the Big Cliff revenge game.
Oh, it is. It is.
The Big Cliff return match with the Rutgers Scarlet Knights. So, Big Cliff versus his former team. So this could be the Big Cliff game, right? There you go.
Hey, we haven't had that yet. Blake, did you want to pull up that Alabama tweet that I sent you, or did you not want to do that? We can.
Well, it's kind of hard because I was trying to pull it up, and it's on 3 because it has the 3 little mini screens. Like, it doesn't when I try to do full screen.
It.
Yeah, maybe just try to explain it.
Okay, so if you follow Blake Byler on Twitter, Alabama Beat does a great job covering the Tide. A person commented and he found the videos. So Nate Oates is 3-0 over Calvin Sampson. In all 3 games with 3 or less minutes left, and it was either a 1-possession or 2-possession game. In all 3 games, Nate Oates drew up the same action for the same 3-point shot, and all 3 times Alabama made the shot in the 3 separate games, which is pretty. I mean, and you can go and look at the 3 different videos. It's the same action. It was Shackelford the first time, and then it was Sears last year, Sears this year. Pretty cool stuff from Oates, going back to that same action against that Houston defense with, in a crunch time possession.
You know what? And we didn't talk about this before, but like I just completely blanked on the recent history with Alabama and Houston. Like I just completely forgot about that. And again, we watch so many games, and you're like, you completely move on from this last season now to this season. But it's like I forget, that game they had where they're making the big deal of everything that happened at the end, and the Oates still shot there where he's waiting for the handshake, and but of course I logged on Twitter, Max, and I quickly remembered that because Alabama fans quickly remembered that as well. So the Alabama Crimson Tide get the win over the Cougars of Houston, and another big one for the SEC, Max. I mean, this is just hold on, let me find this chat. Here we go, from Devin here. And by the way, Devin also joined the It Just Means More tier. He has become a YouTube member here, folks, and it's a good thing because we've been teasing some YouTube members-only content coming soon. And by soon, I mean within the next couple weeks. So before Christmas, we're going to get you guys some members-only videos, maybe some Q&As, some other stuff as well, maybe. Some live things, maybe during games. There's a lot of stuff we got brewing for our members over there. And also, before we jump back to Devin's comment, there was a comment. Matthew asked, how do you join the monthly subscription? The Southeastern 16 can't find it in the YouTube app. I'm not exactly sure in the app, Matthew. I know a lot of people have said, I think you kind of have to go to the desktop maybe to find it, but it's somewhere. I don't know if you click the little 3 dots and maybe it gives you the join option, but it's something like that. And by the way, here's how you don't join. Sam Smith says, shoot me credit card info and he'll get you in. You do not send your credit card info to Sam Smith. Anyone out there who is trying to join the It Just Means More tier, please do not do that. We cannot suggest that. But back to what Devin had to say here. The SEC, basically SEC play will only bolster resumes at this point. The SEC has some really, really good non-conference wins. The last few years, we didn't have that great of a non-con composite. Max, we talked about that. I mean, the SEC seemingly just came up short time and time again the past couple of years in non-conference play, where like there just are not enough of those truly kind of, resume-defining wins. I've lost count so far of how many the SEC's picked up, and there are still many opportunities this week and beyond to get more of those. So that's been the difference so far this year. Is in the past we've said this is going to be a strong league, but sometimes the league is completely underwhelmed in non-conference play. Not been the case through 3 weeks of the season so far.
Yeah, and it's in the prime time slots too. It's when everyone's watching. It's not just like, some game slipped in at, 3:00 where it's like 2, sneaky top 25 teams and the SEC drops it. We're getting the Maui primetime slot games, the big, where everyone's watching and where the national media usually gets to get their lick in on the SEC after they've been,
They never
annoyed from football season, and the SEC starts losing a few early basketball games and they get their lick in. It has been a treat. It has been a treat to watch all these great games so far, and then also be on the winning side. When you look at Ken Palm's conference ratings, they do like the conference as a whole. A conference hasn't been this dominant for the past 3 years. You go back to the Big 12 when Kansas had the Udoka Azubuike, Ochai Agbaji team when they won the national championship a few years ago. So the past few years, we haven't seen a conference like this. You got to go back to 2022.
Yeah, been pretty outstanding so far. And again, more opportunities. We'll talk about the games today here in just a few. But before we finish up with the games from yesterday, Max, a couple more to talk about. We'll quickly run through. Kentucky gets hold on. Oregon 17 wants us to live stream during the Maui Championship. I don't know if we're going to be able to pull that off, but it's something to think about. All right, it's a good thought. We'll get back to you on that. But
we'll see.
The Cats get another win here, Max. And I wasn't sure for a little while there because this one was a little close for comfort maybe at times for Kentucky fans. As and I mentioned like Western Kentucky was an interesting team, not because I think that they're 3-3, right? They played a couple. They lost to Grand Canyon in a close game. We said they beat Lipscomb, but it's just kind of the way they played. Like they're kind of an up tempo, not a bad defensive team. So you just wondered how that would play out here. But I mean, the biggest difference in this game, and they're talking about another free throw game, Max. A lot of free throws shot in this one. I think it was 71 free throws combined.
Brutal.
Kentucky shot 42 in this one. Kentucky didn't have their usual sharp shooting performance, only went 8 of 29 from three. The good thing was Western Kentucky only went 4 of 26 from three in this game. But, I mean, this was one where Andrew Carr was kind of the standout, I think, Max, in terms of just watching how he played. And so because of that, I'm going to turn it over to Mark Pope to give his thoughts on Andrew Carr and his performance there against Western Kentucky.
Well, Andrew's always been known as a really, really physical player. I'm joking a little bit, but he is. He's got a really true physicality. I thought his focus was unbelievable tonight. Our guys have a goal, one specific goal. Every time we walk into practice, our assistant coaches, our staff does an unbelievable job of giving our guys one very specific goal. And so Andrew Carr's goal yesterday was to demand a catch, even to the point of yelling and screaming at his teammates just one time to earn a catch. That was his goal yesterday. And he was unbelievable today, winning catches and being physical with the ball. Like, he was really special. And these really specific, measurable, obtainable goals that our staff works so hard with our players to have every single day, they pay off. And that was a great example. It was a really terrific example. I thought he was great today, and I thought he was demanding. I thought he protected the ball. You think about all the possessions he had against a swarming, super talented defense. I think they're 52 or 62 in the country defensively right now. But this swarming defense they had against a bunch of undersized guys that can be really frustrating for a guy built like Andrew Carr. And he's a 3 assists, 0 turnover, 18 points, 10 rebounds guy, and was ridiculously efficient and tough with the ball. Super proud of him.
There you go. So
There you go.
I mean, hey, Mark Pope, the smart goals, Max. They're implementing the smart goals, it sounds like, in Lexington and working out pretty well as Kentucky gets an 87-68 win over the Hilltoppers.
I was waiting for a game like this. I teed it up, BBN. I teed it up. I said a few games ago, I said, now we're on top of the world after this Duke win and smoking Lipscomb and Jackson State. But just remember, there's going to be a game when the shots from three aren't falling and it's going to look a little bit ugly, and to not panic. Here we are. That's all it was. Shots weren't falling. Super ugly game. Tons of free throws. Western Kentucky's a nasty little scrappy team. They forced 11 turnovers. 6 of the turnovers were Amari Williams. I guess that's the one standout if you want to knock someone on something. Amari Williams didn't have his most efficient game, but yeah, I mean, shots weren't falling and you still win by 20. A little tune-up against Georgia State, and then into the two big ones.
I mean, come on, Max. Kobe Bryant misses 4 3-pointers in this game.
We're not talking about that.
What's this guy doing? He's now only 23 of 34 on the season for 67.6% from three.
Oh, man.
A big hit to the percentages. Yeah. So
yeah, he's still he fell from number 1 in the nation in 3-point percentage. He fell to number 1.
Oh, man. It's a brutal fall. That is. But again, Andrew Carr, 18 and 10 for him, as Mark Pope said. That was definitely a focus, kind of asserting himself in this game. Otega Owe just continues to do his thing, 18
Monster.
points in this one. Lamont Butler with 14 points, had 5 rebounds, 4 assists as well. Look, this was a very right? I mean, there was I think there were 7 guys that scored between 8 and 18 points. I mean, that is, again, one of the, and it's different, but the common themes we talk about so far with Alabama, Auburn, Kentucky, like teams like this, is like you just don't know where the scoring is going to come from in terms of, and that's not the bad thing, right? Like some teams were like, we don't know where the scoring is going to come from, and it's like, yikes. But this is like, you don't know where the scoring is going to come from, and how do you guard all these guys? And, because one of them is going to go off. Like there's always that potential. And so, we just keep seeing that with what this team can do. And so, we'll keep seeing, like you said, there was going to be a game like this for Kentucky, and they're going to play Georgia State on Friday. Georgia State is, I think, 3-3. They're coached by Jonas Hayes, by the way, for those who forget that. Georgia State coming off a loss to Austin Peay. We said I don't think it's a bad team. They also played at Mississippi State earlier in the year, lost by, I think, 35 there. So Kentucky will be a sizable favorite in that game. And then, as mentioned in the comments, things really pick up for the Cats next week. Those two big games, Clemson on the road, and then it is playing the Zags in Seattle. So, going to get interesting for Big Blue Nation next week.
Yeah, I mean, I can't wait. The Clemson game, I feel good about. I know Clemson's playing good. I mean, they're always going to be, you know how Brad Brownell coach team is going to play. Ian Shefflin's a monster. I wish he was in the SEC, but I'm already looking ahead to that Gonzaga game on the 7th. Oh man, I can't wait for that thing.
You know, Max, I wish Chris Lee was on this live stream. You know why? Because as of now, after this game last night, the 4 of 26 performance for Western Kentucky, the Kentucky Wildcats are the top 3-point field goal defensive team in the country, only allowing 21.2% so far. So, for Chris's rankings, these defensive metrics, number 1, right there, Max, Kentucky.
I think that's Lamont Butler and Otega Owe. I think that's exactly what that is.
Yeah. Well, hey, we will see how that continues. A bunch of good guard duos, I think, defensively in the SEC, as we talked about. Ziegler and Meshack, these two there, and Butler and Owe. And I think the thing is, with a lot of these teams, you feel like they also are only going to have a chance to get better from here as they play together more, get better, the chemistry, get more games under their belt. And so it's a scary proposition for SEC play with these teams at the top right now. So, all right, Max, I will now turn the floor to you for the other game that took place on Tuesday. Unless you actually, was there another game that took place? I'm not sure. I don't recall. I believe Texas A&M is still in the SEC, unless Max tried to throw them out after yesterday's game. The Oregon Ducks get a 80-70 win over number 20 Texas A&M at the Players Era Festival as well. I mean, Oregon scores the final 11 points of the game, and that's not what you wanted if you were Texas A&M, because you do the math, and, well, we know how that works. So, Max, thoughts on this loss for the Aggies here?
So when we did our preview, I didn't like the matchup very much. Oregon's guards are feisty, and Biddle's been injured throughout his career, but practicing against Dante his whole career, I was a little bit worried about Biddle. The thing is with A&M is they were up by. Yeah, I did call it. I
did call this.
I saw it from a mile away. I thought it was a terrible matchup. I really like the matchup tonight against a reeling Creighton team. Oh man, feel bad for Kalkbrenner without Ashworth right now. But anyways, with A&M, they were up by 11 with 6 minutes left against UCF. Flounder it down the stretch. Against Oregon, they're up by 10 with 9 minutes left. Just gets washed away. There were so many, they should be undefeated if they just would take care of the ball in the last 10 minutes of the game. But you get down to the last 10 minutes and there's no more playing through Henry Coleman. There's no more sets with Wade Taylor. It's just Taylor and Zurich Phelps launching themselves into the middle of the lane, spinning this way, flipping that way. What is going on here? You got a 10-point lead to protect. So, no, we have our fun. Realistically, I think this is a middle-of-the-pack SEC team that really has some issues with late-game ball security right now. I mean, they've blown 2 double-digit leads with under 10 minutes left. What are we doing, guys? Making me look bad.
Every time you say launching, like it just, for me, I'm just like, just envision just,
it's the
full-on rocket,
launch.
like just spaceship going into the air. And that's how you describe Texas A&M at times. Like it is tremendous. So, oh my goodness, it is fantastic. But yeah, I think this is another one that if you're A&M, you're gonna look back on. Like we said, the good news for A&M is that they have more opportunities this year to make up some ground. They've still got some games that'll help their non-conference. But like again, you've lost the UCF game, you lose this game now. Creighton, interesting matchup as you said. And again, they still got Texas Tech, they still got Purdue, those kind of games. But these are the kind of games you want to see A&M win. If you're looking at them, if you want to put them in the same kind of scenario, like let's say they're not on Alabama, Auburn, Tennessee, Kentucky right now. But I think there was some expectations they can get there and be on the same thing. So they're like, are they on the same level with Florida? Are they on the same level with Mississippi State? Teams like that. Like, we're still, I think, trying to figure this out. And I say sometimes we just move on from the previous season, right? But I told you the one thing that worried me about A&M was, and I hate going back to this, but it's just the numbers, right? This was a team that was almost at 500 on the season, 28 games into the season last year. And you did bring a lot of those pieces back. Yes, they got hot at the right time down the stretch, but now I'm like, I just want to see them win more games like this. And there will be opportunities to do so. They got the big win over Ohio State at home, but I think it's also, Chris brings this up too, Max. And Chris, what are you doing? Where is Chris? He's about to hop in. There, get in here.
I didn't want to crash your party. It was going so well.
Well, you decided to join in when we talk about the bad stuff. Like, come on,
buddy.
Where were you at with the good stuff?
I was doing radio and other podcasts, and I think this is
those aren't as important as this
stuff I've done for 2.1 days into the work week.
You just missed us talking about the Cats.
We just talked about Kentucky moving to number 1 in the country in 3-point field goal defense, which you can, maybe that means something to you. But Texas A&M is not, and the Aggies. Yeah, I want to see them win more games like this. And I think today's a great test, Max. You talked about the Creighton game because you do have a Creighton team that's kind of reeling right now. So this opportunity is right there for Texas A&M to win a game like this against what is still a good team. But they are kind of reeling, without Ashworth. They got back-to-back losses now. And so if A&M loses this one, then I'm like, man, I don't know what to say because I think they should win this game today. And so I don't know. We'll see.
I'll tell you what. You want to get your gauge on Texas A&M. You're going to find it right here. They go and knock the socks off of Creighton. This is exactly the Texas A&M team we thought it was. Could beat anyone at any night, could lose to anyone at any night. If they go and they really struggle, I am taking a big step back because they should, without Stephen Ashworth in this game, they should really control this thing. So we'll get a good gauge on A&M.
Gentlemen, it was a night for the SEC and Ken Palm. I know that got Blake excited, but all seriousness, I missed the fun earlier. My goodness, Auburn last night. It was midnight Central Time, having a little difficulty keeping the eyes open. I was like, should I stay up or should I go to bed? And I made the choice to go to bed because I'm like, Auburn is not losing this game. I woke up, I'm like, you know what? It's exactly what I thought it would be. Man, they looked so good last night.
Yeah.
They did.
Janai Broom is Janai Broom not the front runner for Player of the Year nationally right now?
We did earlier say that we think he's the best player in the country. And
I'm saying this having no idea what you guys said, so maybe this is a validation. No,
this makes it better. Like I just want to keep. Yeah, I want you to give your thoughts on everything because I want to see. Yes. Oh, and War Eagle 17 wants you to give him a War Eagle too, Chris. So
WDE.
So he won't say it. Like he's too scared because he wants to play neutral. Oh, Alabama fans, did you hear that? Oh my goodness, Chris Lee showing favoritism towards the Tigers of Auburn. Get in, big baller brat.
Hey, are we getting an Alabama Auburn showdown in the national title this spring?
Well, not now.
It feels it could be.
You brought it up.
Oh, okay. You're welcome.
I mean, look, give me an all SEC Final Four. Okay, I don't ask for much, and I don't think that's asking too much right now. The AP poll came with 4 top 10 teams from the SEC. Alabama and Auburn just got huge wins. Auburn's about to play
pencil in A&M into there.
Title. Well,
A&M's got one.
Let's calm down a little bit. But yeah, I mean, it's absolutely give me an all SEC Final Four. That's all I'm looking for. So.
Did you guys ever think that Auburn was going to lose that game?
No.
Last night?
I didn't either. It felt like that was remarkably easy for who Auburn was playing. I mean, the offense was so smooth. You got Broom, making kickouts to guys open for corner threes. You got him grabbing every big rebound imaginable. You got him stepping out and hitting threes in the middle of the runs. You got Kelly giving them a little burst to start the second half. You got Chad Baker Mazzara banging his knee again, coming back. You're looking like and one thing we said about him yesterday was like he was a guy that did a lot of stuff well, which he does. But one thing that kind of sticks out to me when I watch them is he's becoming a little bit more of a go-to guy, right? We need a perimeter basket, a three, a drive. Like he can step up and take a bigger role than just guy that does a lot of stuff well and kind of holds the team together. I mean, they got a lot going well right now, and Broom in the middle is just making and that's the thing I asked you guys in a text last night. I said, does this offense flow that well because of what it is or because teams have just got that much to worry about with Broom, that he's such a headache to do this or that it makes it easier than for everybody else? I'm sure the answer is somewhere in the middle. But just when I watched them play basketball last night on that end of the floor, it just was so seamless at times.
I think bringing in guys like Pettiford and Miles Kelly that stretch the floor and are more sure knockdown shooters than guys last year like KD and Donaldson. These guys are just a little bit better perimeter shooters, and so I think that opens it up as well. But Broom got better. That's no question about it. And Blake had mentioned the Broom over 0.5 threes prop for Broom earlier. Yeah, kiss that thing goodbye, okay? Because I tried to find it last night, and it was at 1.5. They've bumped it up to 1.5. You're not getting 0.5 anymore. So I got to get on the horn with BetOnline headquarters and get that thing cranked down to 0.5 again.
Too many people getting cash out of Broom right now in these 3-point props. But Bruce Pearl said it. He's a perimeter threat these days.
He is.
So there you go. Additional thoughts, Chris, before we go into our quick preview for tonight's. Well, we got a pretty big slate today.
We do.
So before we quickly get into those.
Yeah, I didn't get to see anything else. I wanted to watch Alabama-Houston. My streaming package does not have that right now. I'll be fixing that. That's a whole different conversation. Thank you, Max Barr.
Whoops.
My computer gets a virus or crashes, I'll know where to go with the blame. But anyway, I mean, I was disappointed in Texas A&M. Didn't get to see that, but just feels like the same limitations.
Yep.
With them, and the defense is not quite up to where you would like it to be. I mean, they're good, but I don't know. It feels like that team is running up against a ceiling that is not where it is with Auburn, Alabama, Tennessee, Kentucky. Fair?
No, not at all.
No, they're not even close to that.
Yeah.
I don't even, like I said, I think we were questioning, are they even close to Florida and Mississippi State's level right now? I'm not sold on that either. But today I think will be a big test, as we said, against Creighton.
Wait for today.
So, are we at the point where you've got a top four and you've got another step down? And I know we'll do this in power rankings, but I'm just going to throw it out there just because I really want to hear what you think. Is Florida in that stratosphere? Is Mississippi State in there? Or is there a little bit of a divide between those four, however you rank them, and everybody else?
That's a loaded question.
It is.
I think
That's
the
why
difference is who has played who so far. Like, meaning, like, not to take anything away from Mississippi State's win against SMU and Utah, but like, is it Houston? Is it, Duke? Is it the wins that the other teams in front of them have right now?
Yeah.
Like Florida, we said with Florida, what's their best win? Florida State?
Yeah.
Which is just, and I think that's just like, and that's why we keep saying, like, our power rankings are fun, but like, they're ultimately meaningless until everyone starts playing a similar schedule, which just hasn't happened yet. So, I mean, I think Florida's really good. I think Mississippi State's really good too. I think we underestimated them. But I just, I think you want to keep seeing that body of work fill out more, which is the same thing for the teams in front of them too. It's just that they have more defining wins at this point. Like I said, there's nothing wrong with getting a pair of wins against Utah and SMU. You mentioned Mississippi State's got a big opportunity coming up next week against Pitt, but are they going to get the national attention that wins over Houston and Duke and what Tennessee did to Baylor and, those kind of things, probably not just yet. So,
and I think that's the right answer because I'm not big on playing the comparative score with beating teams you can blow out and facing Duke and Carolina. Yeah, I know we've established that. But if your case for Florida is there, I think it is that Creighton and Martin are guys that you will match with anybody to start with your backcourt, with the possible exception of Auburn. Well, I mean, Tennessee was Ziegler and Lanier too. I mean, it's a beauty contest, but I think that's your starting point with them is that those guys are in the ballpark of everybody else's because they're that good.
I'll put.
And I don't know if that's the right answer or not. I'm just thinking this out because I think it's interesting.
I'll put it this way, and give or take a team or two because these are still early Ken Pom. But last year, 14 teams in the SEC, 8 of them were top 80. As of right now, the entire 16-team SEC is top 80. Now, give or take a team or two, maybe one falls out. Maybe there ends up with only like 14 or 13 top 80. But still, last year there was only 8. Right now, the entire conference is top 80. So even if you want to drop a team or two out of that, take a bad loss, sure. That is insane comparison from the strength of the league one year to the next.
Who's the biggest wild card right now? I've got an answer. I want to see if it is yours.
The biggest wild card? I think they play today against Creighton. I mean, is there anyone more unpredictable than Texas A&M? Can beat Ohio State by 25 and then get, what was the last 10 minutes of the Oregon game, a 20-0 run? I have
Arkansas is my answer pretty easily.
That's my answer too. And again, it is not what you, Max, you kind of took it a different direction. I think my thinking is what is their roster going to be? Because you've got huge questions with Davis, Brazil, Adu. I mean, maybe you started to answer some. I'm bigger. I'm feeling better about Arkansas just seeing those guys play the other night. And I know I was low man on them in power rankings the other day. And again, it was all based on health. But my goodness, when you get everybody back and healthy, if that happens, I mean, that roster could crash that Elite Tier 2. I think there's the potential there to do it.
Yeah.
All right.
You want to look
Before
ahead
we
at
jump in
today's
quickly,
games?
yeah, we're going to be speed around here because we got to be out in 3 minutes. Shout
boy.
out to Chris telling us the great show as always. Yeah, we appreciate that, Chris. And Mother Carol earlier as well, who, by the way, folks, in case you didn't know, Mother Carol, also a member of It Just Means More here at Southeastern 16. We talked about, Max and I were teasing the membership perks a little bit earlier. Gonzaga, perhaps, a live stream for members. Remember, we did kind of tease it. There are some big things coming for our members. So if you want to join that tier, I'd love to be able to tell you how to do it on mobile, as Matthew asked earlier. I cannot tell you how to do that because I don't know. But if you get on your computer, if you go click on any of our videos, you'll see the join button. Join $3.99 a month, and we will start doing more members-only content. The more you guys join, and we are thinking about doing some live streams during games. So if you want to watch games with us live, some of the heavyweight showdowns we're going to get here coming up, we've got some plans in the works for that. We'll get into details soon enough. All right, here we go. Speed round. We've already talked about Auburn, Memphis. We have already talked about Alabama, Rutgers. We have already talked about Texas A&M, Creighton. Max, anything you want to grab from Tennessee against UT Martin, the Skyhawks? 38.5 point favorites are the Vols in this game. South Carolina and Virginia Tech, which I am going to tell you right now, I do not expect to be the prettiest game out there, but I do think it's a game South Carolina should win. Missouri and Lindenwood. Missouri, 28.5 point favorites here in this game. Not sure if Lindenwood's played Missouri Valley or Mississippi Valley State yet. We'll find out a little bit later. I always say I'm a little concerned about these point spreads that are under 30. Oklahoma and Providence. Big game here for the Sooners. They are, I think, a 2-point favorite in the Bahamas against the Friars of Providence.
You're getting good at that, Blake. That was like ESPN level rundown right there. The only thing I'm going to say is South Carolina, let's get a win today. Let's get a win today against a Power 5 opponent. I don't care who the Power 5 opponent is. Let's get a win today. Get the confidence back. Get Colin Murray Boyles going. You need it. You need it. You're supposed to win this game. Let's go.
I think Memphis, Auburn is kind of the headliner because of Penny and what they've done in this tournament. I think Rutgers, Alabama, interesting too, because of the Big Cliff storyline. Plus, Rutgers has got a couple of stud freshmen. A&M needs to have a bounce back, I think, after yesterday too. That's a tough team to have it against, but.
Deacon, you do not want me answering this question.
Oh, man. I've looked at that.
The question is, does Auburn start SEC play undefeated? You don't want me answering this question because you don't want any of us answering this question. You know why? Because as soon as we give you an answer, you know what's going to happen. But I'm just going to say I don't. It's going to be really tough because, remember, Auburn still has Memphis today, road game at Duke, Ohio State on neutral court, Purdue. If Auburn runs the table there, holy cow. We're talking about an all-timer type team in this scenario. So it will be tough based on the schedule. So I'm not giving you an answer.
Here's another thing I was thinking this morning. Like, Auburn is really locking in its seeding early. Like, you got stuff on the resume that, barring a complete and total collapse, which I cannot see happening without, Broom and or somebody else major getting hurt. My goodness, you've got a lot of stuff on the resume. You've already got a resume that a lot of teams would kill to have come March, and that's not even considering what they've got ahead.
Yeah, there you go. The state of SEC basketball feast week continues here at Southeastern 16. Big games today. And we will continue to have you covered. We will not be probably doing a live stream tomorrow. We're going to be TBD on what our schedule will be because I know Thanksgiving's tomorrow, all this kind of stuff. So there are some big games coming up tomorrow too. Florida, Wake Forest, Arkansas, Illinois, Ole Miss, BYU, Mississippi State, UNLV, other games as well. So we'll have you covered and we'll keep you updated on kind of the schedule for the rest of the week. But we'll have streams for you guys and talk about it, even if, again, depending on Thanksgiving and that kind of stuff, maybe a little more sporadic over the next couple of days. So
let's put it this way, Blake. If we are able to get on here, we'll get on here. If we can make it work, we will.
Yeah. All right. Non-SEC related question for the two of you on the way out. Does Dan Hurley make it back to Connecticut without either getting suspended or having a heart attack?
I feel bad for him.
One of those really escalated. One to the other is kind of a. Max says that's him though when he's playing Madden. So
that's how I play video games. Yeah. I don't think I would be able to act like that in real life, but inner me relates to that Dan Hurley outrage.
There you go. Happy Thanksgiving to all, including you, Mother Carol, as well. We appreciate you guys watching. Wrap us up, Chris.
All right. Thank you for watching. Football, lots of football stuff going on. Keep an eye on the playoff. We may or may not do something on that today. We've got all the games previewed this weekend. We'll wrap those up. As much as I love this, I'm looking forward to maybe being able to follow one sport more closely rather than try to keep tabs on two at once. But that's what we do here at Southeastern 16. We follow football, baseball, basketball nonstop in the SEC. If you like it, hit the subscribe button. That's free. Enable your notifications so you know when we go live. Leave us a little something in the super chat if you like. Visit our sponsors. And if you're interested in sponsoring, we reach millions of people a year. Caroline.smith at southeastern14.com. God bless you all. Have a safe and happy Thanksgiving. For Max Barr, for Blake Lovell, I'm Chris Lee. You've been watching Southeastern 16, presented by BetOnline.